The chapter starts with a flashback of Gojo explaining to his students why he can't unleash a Black Flash whenever he wants, although he has the 6 eyes. Gojo says Black Flash is a distortion of space that occurs when cursed energy and a physical strike land within a 1/1,000,000th of a second of each other, and he doesn't think this definition is correct, because if it really was correct, then he should be able to land Black Flash at will. Gojo further explains that when loading his fist with cursed energy to throw a punch, that cursed energy is either 1. The type that strengthens the fist, 2. The type that will crash into my opponent, or 3. The type that will do both. This means it's not just the timing that matters, even the blend of cursed energy that is loaded up into the fist needs to be considered. On top of that, the blend needs to change depending on the environment. Things like physical condition or your opponent's cursed energy. Gojo goes to the extent that he thinks even the temperature and humidity should be taken into account because Black Flash is a spatial phenomenon after all. The point is, there's no correct answer to how to unleash a Black Flash. He incorporates his cursed energy into his strikes, and whether he lands a Black Flash or not comes down to luck at the end of the day. Gojo also adds that Nanami has a larger record than him, but in terms of total times, he wins. Since Gojo's fights don't last that long, he doesn't get much chance to land consecutive Black Flashes, and we get a note that Gojo was later surpassed in this aspect by Yuji Itadori as well. In my opinion, Gojo's explanation of Black Flash is establishing 2 things. First, Gege is telling us that unleashing a Black Flash comes down to luck. I mean, the user needs to be in the zone and concentrate on his cursed energy output, but that's it. They don't have total control over the occurrence of a Black Flash, and this essentially is giving Gege Akutami more freedom to control the narrative of the story. Second, I think this is hinting at the progress that Yuji will make in the future, and maybe he will be able to land Black Flash at will by the end of the series and surpass Gojo in this aspect. By the end of the chapter, you will understand why I'm saying this. On the next page, we return to the fight. Maki acknowledges Miguel and LaRue as the backup Yuta was talking about. Miguel notes that Sukuna is gaining momentum after landing his second Black Flash on LaRue, and they should run because they don't have a chance. Yuji considers the possibility of Sukuna regaining his reverse cursed energy output like Gojo did, but he doesn't recognize Miguel and LaRue. Choso also doesn't recognize Miguel and LaRue, but he thinks that since Maki and Yuji didn't say anything, they must be allies of Jujutsu High. He also thinks that he needs to help take Sukuna out before he regains his reverse cursed energy output. Next, we go into a crazy fight sequence. Yuji tries to trap Sukuna with a railing as Choso fires a supernova, but Sukuna dodges and escapes from it. Maki catches up to Sukuna and tries to stab him with her sword. Sukuna manages to hold onto her sword. Choso notices that Maki and Sukuna are using air as their foothold while fighting, but Sukuna instantly hits his third Black Flash on Maki. Sukuna's third time hitting the Black Flash and Maki's second time receiving it. Maki notices that Sukuna's normal slashes output has raised 2. Sukuna tries to send another set of slashes, but Choso blocks it with his supernova. Instantly, another set of slashes comes towards Choso, but even before they hit, Sukuna is already behind him. Sukuna used his slashes as a distraction to catch Choso off guard. While Choso tries to face the slash, Sukuna instantly arrives behind him and throws him to a wall nearby and hits him with his 4th Black Flash. Choso manages to reduce the damage by making an armor of blood and holds onto Sukuna's arm. Yuji immediately comes back with a powerful punch to Sukuna's face. Choso says no matter how many Sukuna hits a Black Flash and regains his momentum, if Yuji hits him with his punches, Sukuna's cursed energy output and control over Megumi's body will get dull. And through this sequence, I really appreciate Choso's fight experience. Next, we get to the disappointing part of the chapter. Miguel tells LaRue that they have done enough, so they should retreat, but LaRue declines Miguel's offer, saying he still has something he needs to do. Miguel didn't add the value or impact that he was hyped to bring. I mean, the narrator described him as the man who fought Gojo on equal footing during the events of Jujutsu Kaisen 0. On top of that, in the previous chapter, and after noticing Sukuna's state, Miguel was saying that he was feeling bad for fighting Sukuna in that weakened form. In my opinion, All of this hype for him only to come, dodge a couple of slashes, land one punch, and then say, "This is enough," is very disappointing. Kusakabe did more in his fight against Sukuna than the man who fought Gojo on equal footing. I would accept it if he wasn't hyped all this much. Anyway, Yuji continues to fight. Sukuna tries to smash him into the ground, but Yuji instantly hits him with piercing blood. Choso says Yuji still can't use convergence effectively, which is why he needs to keep looking after him. Sukuna manages to push him away, but Yuji immediately gets into the zone. Here we see a panel of Yuji locked in, similar to when he was fighting Hanami and landing consecutive blast flashes. The narrator says, at that moment, just as Mahito had sensed from Itadori Yuji in Shibuya, Sukuna felt the same premonition of an oncoming black flash. However, for some reason, Sukuna can't take his eyes off Larue. Sukuna's awareness has shifted from Yuji to Larue, and it's explained that Larue's cursed technique not only makes him grab a physical body, but if he has grabbed hold of someone, he can grab their heart or consciousness too. And here, Yuji hits Sukuna with a huge black flash. On the next page, the narrator says, unleashing his potential with a single blow, beneath scattering sparks of black, Itadori Yuji awakens. The chapter ends here, and the Jujutsu Kaisen manga will be on break next week. This chapter was great in my opinion, except for Miguel. I don't get why hype a character. Compare it with Gojo, for him to only dodge a couple of slashes and land one punch and call it a day. On the other hand, the fight scenes were great. One of the main reasons I love Jujutsu Kaisen is the fight choreography. The series has the craziest, most creative fight sequences. Also, Chozo was the MVP for today's chapter. He saved Maki from dismantles by using Supernova. He also saved himself from Sukuna's Black Flash by making blood armor around his stomach, and with the same blood armor, he held off Sukuna's arm long enough so Yuji could hit Sukuna. On top of that, since Yuji still can't use convergence, Chozo is helping Yuji with something from which Yuji fired the piercing blood. Next is my favorite part of the chapter. Yuji is finally getting the attention that he deserves as a main character. Not only he is preventing Sukuna from recovering his cursed energy output, but Yuji is also getting into the zone and landing a black flash on Sukuna. And I think it's safe to assume that this is the first black flash out of many. We're used to seeing Yuji land multiple black flashes in a row. On top of that, the narrator mentions that Yuji now has awakened. Yuji's awakening can be a lot of things. I think Yuji's awakening is about soul perception and its relation to the body and cursed energy. We get a lot of hints that Yuji has a better than average perception of the soul throughout the whole manga, being able to hurt Mahito, Yuki's research on the soul, dulling Sukuna's cursed energy output, and finally reaching out to Megumi. Also, the chapter begins with Gojo explaining that the 6 eyes don't help him do the black flash, and that he guesses that there's something else than the body and cursed energy that causes it, and that is all about luck while being in the zone. I guess that all of Yuji's knowledge about the soul and his latest and awesome black flash made him realize how to land a black flash at will. This is just a guess, so take it with a grain of salt. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next video.